Within 7 days, the Culling itself had to die for Culling to be reborn. Let's talk about that. The Culling is a battle royale game made by Xaviant, the makers of Lichdom Battle Mage. Launched in early access in March 2016, then instead of trying to clone the battle royale film, instead decided to mash up the Running Man and Hunger Games into a close quarters combat focused rock paper scissors melee battle royale game. While games like PUBG have pans,
oh my god, beat the dude.
And Fortnite has pickaxes, the Culling had depth to its close quarters combat. Yeah, you could throw rocks at people and beat them with a stick, or you could combine 2 rocks and make a knife. Or take that crafted knife and attach it to a stick and make a spear and use that to make enemies bleed. As the game goes on, you'll find crowbars, normal knives, and sometimes even guns. There are also tracking devices which help you hunt people down, and even little boosts you can inject yourself with for speed and strength. It was a totally different beast to other battle royale games that would come out after it, such as H1Z1, PUBG, and Fortnite. And it was enjoyed because it was different. And then the patches made the game worse. Now, I personally started with the Xbox One launch on June 2nd, 2017, and I loved it for what it was. But having played the Day 1 reference server on PC, it's been a hell of a lot of fun and it made me really see what people cared about with the original launch. But after the game launched out of early access in October 2017, the game would receive no more updates, and in November 2017, the development was halted by Xaviant so they could work on a new title. The title would end up being The Culling 2. Now, before we get into The Culling 2, let's talk about clones! From Radical Heights to Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, SOS and Warface Battle Royale, Cuisine Royale, Rules of Survival, Hentai Battle Royale, the genre has been pretty well represented in gaming, with COD and Battlefield both jumping on the bandwagon of Battle Royale, and mobile game stores being outright flooded with carbon copies that are ad-filled to the brim, like Knives Out, Hopeless Land, Survival Royale, Last Player Survival Battlegrounds, and even PUBG Mobile, if I'm being honest here. And if we're going to talk about clones, well, we need to tell the story of Radical Heights. The story of Radical Heights is a story of consistent screw-ups. So, Boss Key Productions was founded by Cliff Bleszinski, a man who left the industry after working on the fantastic Gears of War series, retiring in the middle of Fortnite's Save the World production, which is the PvE mode. Boss Key then went on to announce a free-to-play first-person shooter named Lawbreakers.
Cliff Bleszinski has revealed the first details about his upcoming free-to-play arena shooter. During a live stream today, the Gears of War creator revealed the upcoming game will be called Lawbreaker.
The game ended up coming out at $30.
No longer free-to-play. Bleszinski explained that the business model simply wasn't the right fit for the game.
$29.99, none of that $60 multiplayer-only bullshit. $29.99.
Okay.
It's none of that $60 multiplayer-only bullshit, right?
$29.99, none of that $60 multiplayer-only bullshit.
$29.99, none of that $60 multiplayer-only bullshit.
He then went on to shut on other games.
$29.99, none of that $60 multiplayer-only bullshit.
His old Xbox fans.
You also recently announced that the game's coming to PlayStation 4.
Because I hate Xbox.
PS4, yep, PC, but no Xbox, right?
Yeah, and those Xbox fanboys are pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, they supported you for a long time.
And marketing betas, which he ended up making one.
Well, a lot of developers and publishers, they do these kind of bullshit marketing betas where they're like, oh, it's our beta and the game's out next week. I'm like, that's not really the case. You're not going to be able to fix anything. The game is finally dropping on August 8th.
The game then ended up running really, really poorly on launch on PS4 and PC.
The number one thing you'll notice when you boot this up on PS4 is the stuttering and hitches.
Literally, we've just downloaded this game and started playing it, and this issue is just so obvious. It hits you right in the face pretty much as soon as you start playing, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say borderline unplayable.
It's absolutely bloody crap!
Dead.
Lawbreakers is just, it's just gone. It's poof. It's fucking vanished. Nobody is playing it.
And in a desperate attempt to save face, hiring low-level YouTubers to shill it.
We love this game. We need to support it. If you haven't bought the game already, buy the game. It's amazing. Fuck you. Buy the game.
God, there seems to be a bit of a heavy fucking push to buy this video game. You need to run up. It's important. Fuck the haters. Fuck those haters. You need to go out and buy this video game. Have you bought it yet? Did you buy this video game? You need to go purchase it. Purchase it immediately.
Are you smoking yet?
Now, to skip ahead a bit to the part that matters, Lawbreakers eventually dies off, and on April 9th, 2018, we get the announcement for Radical Heights, and it was said to be coming out the next day, April 9th, 2018. Now, the game launched in extreme early access, and it showed. Most of the map was white boxed and it was janky as all hell, but it showed some promise. it was still the only Battle Royale game that truly did the grid system from Battle Royale right. And they were even adding female player models even though they weren't in at launch, and... oh, the company died. Oh. I know what you might be thinking. What did that have to do with the Culling 2? Well, trust me when I say this, the Culling 2 is an interesting case study. Xaviant's lucky a case study didn't kill them. After Culling 1 launched, Xaviant killed it in order to work on a new game, and went radio silent until about July 2018, where they started to tease a sequel using songs that had 2s in them on the Culling's official Twitter. And then the day before the game launched, they sent out the first trailer.
Did you sniff out all the clues? The Culling 2!
And then it was out.
Check out that date!
The launch was handled far worse than I truly expected it to be.
To say this game lacks polish is to imply the game is far along enough in development where polishing is all it needs.
It's actually depressing how fucking shit this game is, Joey.
Is it bad? It is in a league of its own when it comes to shitty launches.
The game launched at $20, about $10 less than PUBG, a game that, while it has a lot of issues, still handles and controls far better than the Culling 2. It also had no players at launch.
I just refreshed before we walked in. It's still at 4 players, according to Steam charts, and we assume they're just staring at each other, wondering why they're playing such a crappy game.
A few days out from launch and you could win games just by standing in the lobby for 6 minutes. At launch you'd be lucky to get more than 10 players in a map designed for 50. So this footage you're seeing, I won that match. I spend all of it in the lobby, but I win it because the other one person who was there quit. Right before the game started, the game gives up trying to find other players about 5 or 6 minutes in. So I just won it. I was in the chopper waiting to parachute into the actual game, but no, I just won it while I was up in the sky.
I joined my first match. I was disappointed to find out that I was the only person in the match, and it stayed that way for several minutes. And no one joined, so I quit the match and joined another one, and the same thing happened. And that happened again, and again, and again.
Yeah, but no, here's the problem with Battle Royales. You need a lot of people playing to keep those games churning.
No one was playing it. Like the player counts they made Lawbreakers' launch look good, in my opinion. It was honestly, it was very, very low, and this is something that they have had to acknowledge.
Bland gun mechanics that, unlike the Culling 1, a game that, while it did have bows and even guns, they were hard to find and you could actually be outskilled with them. And 2, however, it's just your stock Battle Royale weaponry.
The loot I found was just generic too. Spaz 12, AK-47, oh, so exciting.
It's just guns for the most part.
And 2 instantly showed that whatever creativity the Culling 1 had was not in the plans for a sequel.
Despite the central premise being a Hunger Games style game show, there was no game show aesthetic. It was just a shitty washed out wilderness map. Again, just like PUBG, with no glitz or glamour to justify the premise. At least Radical Heights tried in that regard. At least it had colour and stylistic gaudiness, even if it was shit. It stripped out anything that made the Culling unique, going so far as to switch from a first-person survival game to a third-person shooter, with FPS aiming just like the game it was shamelessly cloning, the aforementioned PUBG.
This is just 100% a very transparent attempt just to grab a couple bucks out of people who are interested in this and use what little notoriety. It's obvious that no care at all was put into the development of this game. They just wanted to get it out there with a $20 price tag on it, cash in and get as much money as possible.
Culling 2 seems to get just about everything wrong.
The zone closing in is the same as any other Battle Royale game, except this time with gas, which is very fitting considering the default characters look straight out of a concentration camp.
Visually horrific, mechanically bland and technically broken, Xaviant Games' excruciating embarrassment was thrown out suddenly without any fanfare in a desperate bid to be part of the Battle Royale craze that has been dominated by PUBG and Fortnite with very few serious contenders. The bid did not pay off. The Culling 2 was a terrible shooter game that brought absolutely nothing to the Battle Royale genre. It was merely there to bathe in the reflected success, to try and carve out a piece of the pie even though there were only crumbs left on the plate.
I watched the trailer the other day, and there was a comment that I think put it really well. Fortnite was like, hey, what if we take PUBG and add some cartoony elements and destructibility, building, all that kind of stuff? Royale was like, hey, why don't we take PUBG, but add crafting and abilities? And then the Culling 2 was like, well, what if we take PUBG?
Now, while this was going on, Xaviant was tweeting about rethinking some things and got a few people like myself worried that Xaviant was going to close. We've all heard companies talking about rethinking things and just closing. And they could have done nothing. Community had asked for a long time, and they went back to the original build.
In a pretty stunning U-turn, developers Xaviant, as I now realise you pronounce it, have already pulled the plug.
I'm Josh Van Veld. I'm the Director of Operations here at Xaviant. I think most of you know that last week we launched the Culling 2, and that launch was not successful. One thing that has emerged very clearly for us is that the Culling 2 was not a game that you asked for, and it's not the game that you expect as a worthy successor to the Culling. We're bonded by the desire to move forward and make progress, and so we've been looking for ways forward. And what's been interesting is that the solutions that we've come up with are the same types of things that you suggested to us when we told you that we were in a tough spot and we were thinking about what to do next. What we see is that there's tremendous value in the day one build of the Culling. And you've been asking for it, and it's been hard for us to accept that that's something that we need to put the work into to get to you, but we've decided it's time.
That brings us to today. It's now currently a week on since the day one reference server launched, and as I mentioned back in the beginning, it showed me why people truly enjoyed that earlier build of the Culling. Now, of course, we are entirely out of the woods with Xaviant, and this is obviously going to be the first part in another video holding them to this. We need to hold them to this promise this time, and we need to make sure this lasts long after the Culling goes free to play. If only so it can not just survive, but so it can thrive. Now, as the video wraps up, tell me what you thought about it, tell me what you expect from the Culling going free to play and the day one server and all that, and whatever else you want to talk about down below. My name's Fuzhou. I got a couple more videos down the pipeline, so hit that little subscribe button, hit that like button down there as well. Take it easy, y'all.